Good morning. The old man here. May 24th, 2025. Here I am again, 2 days in a row. Oh my goodness. The one thing I want to clarify, and I know with most of what I say, it sounds like a lot of gloom and doom, but in reality, I see lots of positive things on the horizon. But that horizon being a little ways off, there's plenty of things we need to do in the meantime to prepare. I think that Trump and the team at the helm, we're in better shape than we've been in the last 100 years. Most, if not all, politicians have been bought and paid for since at least 1913, when the central banks first come into play. There's only one reason to have a fiat dollar or even a semi-fiat dollar, is for the government and the central bank to fleece you of your wealth. The stock market at this time is extremely overinflated. The numbers look good, the numbers look high, but in reality, if you compared it to where it was 20 years ago and how much less money or how much less buying power your dollar has compared to what it had 20 years ago, you'll see that you're probably nowhere as far as ahead is concerned. You are probably behind where you were 20 years ago, even if your portfolio numbers look really good. And that's not the case for everybody. A lot of people that don't or haven't had the money to invest in stocks are not in good shape at all. Some will say a third of the population is much more impoverished now than they were 20 years ago, and I agree with that. And actually, all of us, due to mostly regulations, and there's only one reason to regulate more and more and more, is more and more control, not giving you the chance or the opportunity to get out of the system. It's much like welfare. Welfare I've always hated all my life, and mostly misdirected at the people that took advantage of welfare. And in reality, that should have been directed towards the powers that be at the time. Both the central bank and the government was truly at fault. Those people at the lower end of the totem pole, if you will, not to belittle them, I'm just saying that's where they're at, is they're at, they're at the bottom trying to scratch their way out, and the system is set up that they can't. And then they're told they're not able to, and the more you're told you're not capable of digging your way out, the more people believe it, and they don't even try to dig out, unfortunately. It's just psychology, actually. It's very difficult. But that has gone up the totem pole. Even the middle class now has no real choice, of getting out of the system. And again, they're fleecing you and stealing your wealth. And even if you are affluent enough to have stocks and bonds, that wealth is also being stolen through the central banks and government printing more regulations, making it more difficult for you to find a living or make a living. For those of you that have always worked for somebody else all your life, that's fine, that's cool, but I'll tell you, working for yourself, in my case, was a game changer. It's had its upsides, it's had its downsides, But at the end of the day, I'm more control of my destiny than I ever have been. I mean, I didn't start my own business till I was 45. I had a lot of side gigs that did well, and I figured that, hey, if the side gigs do well, in fact, my side gigs typically did as good or better than my 40-hour week. I'm like, oh my God, I'm working 40 hours and I'm here, and I work, let's say 10 hours on the weekend, and it matches my 40 hours. I'm going, oh my God, there's something wrong with a 40-hour week, And I realized eventually, I've made the move to uh, own my own business. And again, I know it's tough at first, but in reality, even with it being tough at first, I still matched or exceeded my 40-hour week anywhere else. And that's what I needed. But the only way I was able to do that was no debt. And, uh, and that's one thing I want to talk about today is debt. Debt is slavery. That's all there is to it. They totally control you through debt. Um, you know, Here not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe less, there was 0% interest rates on vehicles. Well, they got everybody into a new vehicle, and then the vehicles went up significantly in price because the interest rates were so low that people tend to buy more than they could really afford. And then as interest rates go up, you're used to that type of lifestyle, if you will, or that $90,000 pickup truck. And I'm here to tell you, as these interest rates go up, and they're going to go up, it's going to get to where it really should be. This is a fake economy, in my opinion. And I could be off on this a little bit, but I don't think I'm that far off. In my opinion, eventually the 10-year bond is going to get to 8%, and that's pretty much what everything is set off of is the 10-year bond. When I say that, you're looking at the 5-year and the 10-year. Your car loans are going to be based on the 5-year, and you're going to pay a few points over that, and on your car loans, and your house loans are going to be set on the 20-year and the 30-year bond somewhere in there, and you're going to pay a few points over that. And what that means is, and you're saying, well, hell, at these house prices, I could never afford, let's say 10% a year. And exactly right, you're not. You're not going to be able to afford a house. And well, then that means I can never own a home. No, that's not what that means. That means that nobody's going to be able to borrow at 10% and afford a house at all at these prices. That means these house prices need to come down, and they will come down significantly. As the job market turns down, certain people are going to have to sell their house and or lose it to the bank. And either way, whether they lose it to the bank or they sell it, if they sell it, they're going to be desperate and they're going to need to sell it quick, and they're going to take a loss on that house compared to what it was worth even just 2 years ago. They're going to sell it for less. And as more people become unemployed, and that's just a natural cycle, it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to be a depression era 20%, but there's going to probably be 6, 8, 10% unemployment in a downturn as we straighten out all the things that have been done over so many years. And I do believe Trump and Bassett and the rest of the team have definitely got a plan. Even Elon, it seems like he's hit a brick wall and he's not going anywhere. That's not in the news every day. Well, and the reality of it is he's lessening a lot of evils that have been created over time, and it takes time to unwind all of this shit. And in the beginning, it looked like there was a lot to be done, or he could do a lot in the beginning, but then, like I say, it kind of looks like he hits a wall. But in reality, under the radar, he is undoing a lot of other things that need to be undone, and showing you the truth of what's been done over the last damn near 100 years now, and 33, I think, or actually 13, over 100 years. It began, and now we need to unwind all this government spending and all these bureaucrats, and get rid of a lot of the regulations. I'm not saying that we need to go back to where it's so bad we got dirty water and dirty air. No, we need to keep that. We need our health, and we need to, that's very important. We need safety aspects. We don't want guys out there on the job getting killed every day. That's not good. We need all of that stuff too, but still, there's so many regulations in place that make it impossible for the average Joe actually to get out there and build something. And that's where innovation comes from. I don't know what the percentages are today, but back in the day, 60% or more of employment came from small business. And what they tried to do, especially hastened and made it really obvious to me, is during the pandemic, they did everything they could do to shut down small business. They wanted us all out of business. And because we are, as entrepreneurs, we are hard to control. We think outside the box. They zig, we zag. Big corps don't do that. Big corps kiss ass. They've got too much to lose, let's say, and they can't become invisible or go under the radar because they're so big. We're small enough as small business to stay under the radar and still zig when they zag, and they can't have that. They just can't have that. Not under their fake fiat system. They need to control everything, and that I think was a big part of the pandemic. The pandemic was nothing that you think it is. Honestly, I think it was something much bigger. But if I spelled that all out, it would make me look like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't even need to go there. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what I think or what you think about the pandemic, the fact of the matter, it is what it is, and we've moved on from there. But to me, many things became very clear during the pandemic, and I'm taking that into consideration. I think one of Trump's biggest goals, and you may not see this, but let me just put it out there, that his largest enemy is the globalist, the WEF, World Economic Foundation. Those are the world's biggest enemies, and therefore his biggest enemy. He is doing what he can, and I think he's doing a lot actually to undermine the globalist. They will actually, what all he really needs to do is expose them, and they will collapse under their own weight. In many countries recently, there's been new elections, and globalists have been put in every circumstance. Every one of them, globalists was put in. And again, I won't say voted in. They weren't voted in. They were installed. That is going to come to bite them in the ass. People are sick and tired across the world of being everybody else's punching bag and being fleeced, and they're now finally starting to see it. And again, all Trump's got to do is expose more and more of what the globalists have been doing and what their end goal is, and it'll take care of itself. Trump doesn't have to do anything except for expose. And honestly, I think that's what his first 4 years was all about, was exposing the globalist. Even in our country, you had to plant that seed. Most didn't see it, that the news was fake news. It was an agenda. It was propaganda. I think next to nobody's seen it. Maybe 2% of the population seen it. And in fact, I haven't liked it for my whole adult life. I've never bought a newspaper, mostly because I knew it was all fake news. And I didn't watch the news. I think it's bullshit. They can't even get the weather right, let alone anything else. But 98% of the people took it hook, line, and sinker. And he needed to open people's eyes to the fact that this is just propaganda, And once you see it's propaganda, or at least start to believe it's propaganda, you dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more you dig, the more rot you find. And again, I think that's what Elon is exposing also, is the rot. Can he directly do as much as we'd like him to do? No. But the thing is all he has to do, much like Trump, is expose the rot. We will take care of that. And with that being said, going back to where I started, I think there's a very bright future. However, everything is going to be much different than what we've known all of our lives. I've known good times in this, I think were good times in the 60s and 70s. And obviously, by the time you got to the mid to the end of 70s, it was pretty crazy and not that great. But what I consider good times, and I think we can go way past that and get to a point where we're not fleeced by the government. We're not fleeced by the central banks. Central bank may or may not be around at the end of the day. I kind of hope they're not. I'd like to, banking to be totally changed. We'll see how that all works out. But at the end of the day, we need to take care of ourselves. Nobody is coming to help you. If you think the government's going to help you, you're sadly mistaken. And you're going to wait for an awful long time because it's just not coming. We have to take care of ourselves, and we need to take care of each other. And what I mean by that is we need to get things more local. We don't need to buy beef that comes from Argentina. We can buy local beef. Like I said, right now it's kind of tough, even for me. I'm having a hard time buying beef. That actually just shows an opportunity. In fact, I think through a little research, I think one of our biggest problems here in Michigan, because of the overregulation, is it's hard and expensive to start a processing plant where you can process beef, cattle, cattle, hog, sheep, and that needs to be overcome. And if we have to, we need to go to Lansing and get a lot of regulations taken care of. We can't wait for Trump to do it. I mean, Trump can do what he can on the federal level, but we need to do what we need to do on the state level. Well, that's just one example. There's so many examples. Townships have made it almost impossible to run a business out of your house. Well, that's where it used to start. A guy would start in his garage, and maybe he's a mechanic, and he fixes cars on the side, and it gets to the point the garage is too small, and he go rents a place, and he becomes his own owner, and now all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of guys out there fixing cars, and competition is good. There'll be good mechanics and bad mechanics. There will be, and eventually the bad mechanics go out of business, and the good mechanics become bigger. But with the lack of regulation, you keep that balance. Right now, there's no balance. It's very difficult to be an auto mechanic. And if we can get just people out of their way, but a lot of things. I mean, it's just not that. It's small engine repair. It's auto mechanics. It's whatever you can think of. Back in the day, almost everybody I knew managed a small farm on the side, whether that was 50 acres, 100 acres. My woodshop teacher and his dad actually farmed 300 acres. So everybody had well, actually, in his case, for him and his dad, the farm, the 300 acres was their primary, and for my teacher, my woodshop teacher, actually teaching was a side gig. It was something to do in the wintertime, when there wasn't much to do. Him and his dad got things done on the weekends and whatever, any machine equipment repair and whatever they had to do, they got done on the weekends and after work. And during the summertime, he had plenty of time to do all of his farming. I imagine just as school was getting out and as school was coming in again, he had times where he was stretched pretty thin, but at the end of the day, he got it done. But see, those are kind of things. Now, if you don't have 1,000 acres or 3,000 or 5,000 acres, then you can't afford to farm anymore. That's because everybody thinks you need debt. These guys can't even afford to borrow money to buy these big tractors anymore. They're actually leasing them then, because they're so expensive. And then they're hard to fix. And through the pandemic, they even had a hard time getting parts. I don't know about you, but if you had 50 acres and you had a 50-year-old tractor, yeah, it's going to take you a little bit of time, but you could have got that, you can get that 50 acres farmed, or maybe even better yet, if you're a marginal farm ground and maybe instead of planting corn that brings nothing, or wheat or oats or whatever, maybe you raise cattle on that, maybe you raise sheep on that, maybe you raise something else on that. And again, bring the economy more local instead of being more imports from all over the world. Like I said, they're importing out of Argentina. Well, why in the hell are we bringing beef in Argentina when we got marginal farm ground sitting still, not doing nothing, because it doesn't pay to raise cattle even on marginal farm ground because they're bringing it in so cheap. Again, it's all about the money manipulation, and the regulation and everything else has made that almost impossible. But I think the time is coming where that's gonna turn. I think we're going to, through federal regulation, if you're importing cattle out of Argentina and Trump puts a tariff on it, even 10% tariff or 20% tariff, it's going to make it profitable to raise beef here in the United States. And with that, we need to go to Lansing in Michigan here. At any rate, we need to go to Lansing and get some of the regulation taken care of so that somebody can afford to start a processing plant and to get it going and have more processing plants in Michigan so we can eat more local beef, more local chickens, more, because we used to raise chickens here by the tens of thousands, and now they're all raised somewhere else and butchered somewhere else. And, we've exported our jobs, we've exported our food, we've exported everything to the fact we're a tech company, and honestly, not all of us are programmed for tech as far as that goes. But, I think it's a bright future. I think that the plumber that was told he, basically looked down on, the plumber's going to be making going to be making six figures a year because so few people do it. Your electrician's already making six figures a year, even if he's working for somebody else, if he's any good, that is. And, so that's going to continue. All of these jobs have been looked down on, even the auto mechanic and everything else. These guys are going to start getting paid more money because no matter what, you need them guys, and the only way to get guys to go and do those jobs is to pay them a fair wage. And again, get rid of some of this regulation, and you'll see more entrepreneurs get out there and do their own thing in their own small garages, and be able to do it more locally and not have to take it to the dealership, where they know they got you and they just rake you over the coals. So most people choose to, either lease a vehicle every couple of years, get out of that one, get into a new one, and then blah, 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 whatever. But at any rate, I do believe things are going to change. However, we got a transition period, and through that period, it's hard to say where to invest. And in the past, when the direction is not clear or there's an uncertainty, investors go to gold. I'd like to say that even since the 2000 dot-com bubble, we've never really recovered from that. And the sign of that is that gold has been bringing back a 9% or plus return every year for the last 25 years compounded. That's telling you something. That tells you there's no real yield anywhere else. Not real. You can look at it, you can think you're doing better. It's just numbers on a screen. And if you compared it to the real buying power It's not what it used to be. It's nowhere near what it used to be. Even like I said, over the last 5 years, some things have gone up, and I can pinpoint to a few that have gone up 100%. Some have gone up more than that. Some have only gone up 50%, but still 50% decline in your purchasing power. And in the future, before things get straightened out, uh, that's going to be even more relevant. You're going to see another 50% decline. Like I said in the last video yesterday, Rick Rule, and I think he's right. Over the next decade, you could see your purchasing power drop by 75% again, unless things significantly change. And I think they will. I think Trump and the team is going to make a big difference. I think all of the tariffs and deals he's making across the world is actually setting a foundation for a new monetary system. What is that going to look like exactly? I don't know. Well, the good news is neither does anybody else. And in doubt and uncertainty, everybody goes to gold. The ones that know what they're doing, they go to gold, and gold will go up in value beyond its even true value, just because it's a safe place to park your money until things work out. And eventually, I don't know if that's 2, 5, 10 years down the road, when things start to work out, things start to make sense, you come back into the market and you start investing. I have no intentions of investing in things like bonds or stocks. My thing is more local. There's got to be more local businesses that you can invest in and make better returns. So something you can control more than you can just by buying a stock or a bond. In fact, even I've been thinking over the last 24 hours, and just thinking of the fact that there's not enough processing plants in Michigan. And I'm thinking, that sounds like an opportunity. Even if I couldn't afford to start one, I know enough people, depending on what it would cost, I know enough people that I could put that money together and make a best case for doing just that. When there's plenty of cattle out there, but there's too little processing plants. Even just one processing plant would make a big difference, but yet it'd make enough difference, but it wouldn't make it so that everybody else makes less money. It takes the pressure off. So at the end of the day, again, like I said, I think 10-year interest should be 8%. And if anybody invests in something like this, he ought to be making 8% a year. And if your business is worth a shit, 8%'s a joke. It ain't no more than paying a consumer power bill, really. It's just a small part of your expense. So if your business plan actually works and makes sense, 8%'s nothing. And I think that's where we're going. We're going to, invest in the United States. We got big players from across the world coming investing in the States. Trump's talking about, deregulating a lot of things, getting rid of a lot of bureaucracy. I think that's what Elon's doing, is exposing the rot in the bureaucracy and the rot in the government. And if we can eliminate a lot of that, that's where we gain some workforce. And then I've got some theories on the military and where that can go, because I don't think we're going to be the military police of the world anymore. And when Trump talks about peace, he means true peace across the world. One other thing quick before I go tonight, and again, I got to get going to work pretty soon. The other thing I'd like to mention, just to put a thought in your head for now, and I'll talk more about it, is that Russia and China is not the enemy. I would consider them more of a frenemy. Okay, they're not our allies by any means, but they're not our enemy either. It's, let's say, competition. And there's nothing wrong with friendly competition. I think that's what they are and what they can be in the future. We can play on each other's strengths and weaknesses, and at the end of the day, make a big difference for all of us in the three countries. We actually need each other, and what we don't need to do is spend billions and trillions of dollars on weapons. That money can be served in a better way. But to get there, we got to get rid of this legacy news media that is nothing but propaganda. We'll get there. We got to eliminate the globalist, or at least expose the globalist, and let the globalist collapse under their own weight. We don't need to war with them. We can just expose them, and their own people will take care of them in due time. So with that, I'm checking out. Hope to catch you soon. Like and subscribe. I appreciate your comments, guys, especially the encouragement, and most of you welcome me back after a 3-week hiatus, if you will. Again, I'll try to keep posting more often as I think I have something relevant to say. Have a great day, guys. I'm off to work. Take it easy. Bye.